For joining us. Good morning, everyone. This is Jenny Norris, your host of Home Staging Talk Show Live. Good morning, everyone. And I appreciate you joining us this morning. I'm going to keep talking because the thing tends to cut off the first 10 seconds or so. But anyhow, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Home Staging Talk Show Live. I'm Jenny Norris, your host. Home Staging Talk Show Live is brought to you by the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. And we 1999, if you can believe it, we're in our 21st year. So we have members worldwide, and it's an association for home stagers in the industry, of course, professionals and also real estate agents can also become members. And so if you are looking for a home in the home staging industry, IHOSP is what we say, IAHSP, we are your home in the home staging industry. And Home Staging Talk Show Live is a weekly conversation about our industry and just business in general, success, challenges, current events and so forth, things that we're experiencing collectively. And we invite you all to join in on the conversation and join us live every week. We also have this recorded, and all of our past segments you can find on homestagingtalk.com or our IHOSP YouTube channel. The International Association of Home Staging Professionals YouTube channel has all of them posted there as well. We've got a great archive of segments. This is our 85th segment. And I'm excited for our guest for today. We're going to have Joseph Haecker joining us. I don't know why this thing is zooming in. I'm going to back up. What is happening with my camera? I swear I'm not touching anything, Joseph. This has never done this before. Why is it trying to track me? That's really bizarre. Hang on a second. Let's see if it's on some other weird camera. No Logitech. Okay, this never done that before, so maybe I should just like not move around, but it's tracking. It's never done that before. I didn't think my camera had that capability. So if it keeps zooming in, I did take a shower today and did my hair, so have makeup on, so luckily you won't hopefully see anything that you don't want to see. I always start off every segment by doing, hey June, by sharing some announcements. And of course, this is our theme for the near future until we get through everything. But I love this saying, fear has two meanings: face everything and run, or forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And so we're choosing the latter, to face everything and rise. And the choice is ours. It is ours to decide whether we're going to run and hide and allow fear to control us, or to rise to the occasion and do what we can within our own effort and attitude and so forth to stay productive and to be positive and so forth, because it is uncertain times, and we all acknowledge that this is something none of us have ever lived through, and yet we can get through this together and keep a positive attitude. And I think that's probably the biggest piece of it, is what our belief is and what our attitude is, and not letting fear take our joy away. And so face everything and rise. That's our motto. All right. So while you're our home, and you hopefully some announcements and things people are sharing with you. First of all, I do want to give a plug for our 2020 conference. It's supposed to be held in Denver, end of September 25th, 26th, and 27th. These are our keynote speakers. We have our business keynote, Chris Widener, who has a special message for all of us. I'll be uploading to our social media and sending out to our members. And he is our business keynote speaker. And then we have Johnny Fowler, who's our marketing keynote speaker, right there in the middle. And he was our guest a couple of weeks ago. And then Ravi Huthi is our keynote speaker for our designation we're going to give away, which is the IHOSP CDE, Cultural Diversity Expert. And so he was on our show a little bit ago as well. We'll have him back on before our conference. And of course, the theme is Vision for Success, the year being 2020. Our dinner theme, of course, is the Roaring 2020s, and sort of an interesting tie-in with the pandemic and so forth. Back in 1920, there was prohibition. And so they celebrated the Roaring 20s was a celebratory time and so forth as well. And so we're 100 years later, here we are again being prohibited from doing certain things. And so our awards dinner with that theme hopefully will be a great celebration. And we're doing everything we can to be able to hold this event live because we want to see everybody. All right. And it is Wednesday. So Stager Wednesday, hashtag raise the standard. Make sure to tag your posts and so forth with these hashtags. And thank you, Andrea Faber, for coming up with these. There was also the pillow challenge, and I'm waiting to see other people come up with those because I think that's fabulous, the pillow challenge. So while you are home, there's some education you can be getting, should you choose to do that. So of course we have these different designations. So the investor staging consultant designation we did issue at our 2019 conference in Nashville. Then the short-term rental specialist, that's sort of a niche market for those of you that want to specialize in the short-term rental. That's our newest one, taught by Amy Powers. There's a live webinar going to be happening on May 21st. So she'll teach it again live, but there's also the recorded one from the session she did previously. So you can register for that right now, get your STRS designation, learn about how to add this niche service to your staging. And the great thing is this is not really properties that are for sale. These are properties that people want to have on Airbnb and so forth. And even though that market has been impacted, there's still a need for our services with them. And then the buyer trends specialist is right here, so you can earn that one. And we also have color and design principles for stagers. That's a great class taught by Joanne Lennott-Weary and Sandra Reyes. And you can register for that and get the education. That is webinar-based, 10 different modules, self-paced, of course, excellent content. And then I do want to show this. The advanced stager training, of course, will happen after conference. It will be September 28th and 29th, whether it's live or virtual, and we will have 2 of our keynote speakers sharing during that time. And you do have to qualify to attend. It is for 6-figure staging businesses and above. So make sure you register for that. A special webinar with Barb Schwartz, that'll be Friday, May 22nd. And it is how to thrive in challenging times. You do need to register for it, IHOS members, and space is limited. So it's filling up. So if you want to attend that, there's no cost, of course, to attend. And once you register at the on the site, you'll be sent the Zoom information link to do that. So if you're looking for how to register for that, go to our Facebook pages because you'll see that in there. I have no idea why the camera's doing this. This is really bizarre. Maybe Joseph can help me. I feel like I shouldn't move. Even if I'm not moving and it's still moving in and out. Anyway, so I'm going to bring Joseph in. That's all I have for my announcements for today. So let's bring Joseph in. You look like you're having a good time out there. Oh, the blue door. Hey, Joseph.
Hey, Jenny. So on my end, I can't see you.
Hang on a second.
A black
volume
screen.
Down. Hang on. There we go. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. Hi.
Hey, so I can't see you. It's a black screen on my end, but
you can't see me. That's weird. Okay, yeah. Hang on. Thank you. No one said that.
But I'm not watching it on Facebook Live. I'm on the Be Live app. So
can you guys see me, Vanetta and June and Teresa? Oh, she says you look marvelous, so she can see me, which is good.
Perfect.
I have no idea what my camera's doing. They keep zooming in and out. It's bizarre. It's never done it before. It's like it's tracking me.
That is what's been bothering me the most about Zoom and all these kind of automated platforms is that. I mean, it's why I left doing Facebook Live. I think you remember in 2018, like August through, I don't even know if they or when they fixed it, but when we had the split screen on Facebook Live, the host, you couldn't hear their voice. Do you remember going through that?
Yeah. And also, or the sound would be like squeaky or really, really poor, garbled. Yeah, I remember that.
So we all went over to like Be Live and then started finding, OBS software to be able to stream these things. And then I don't know if you realized, but like a month ago, maybe it was less than that, Facebook stopped doing the split screen on Facebook Live. Did you know that?
Yeah, because I stopped using them. I didn't realize
because
that.
they moved everybody over to Facebook Messenger, where now you can have up to 50 guests like a Zoom call. So they're competing with Zoom, so they cut that split screen on Facebook Live.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Can you go live through Messenger?
You can't, no. So they're trying to do this thing called Rooms. So it's kind of like groups, but essentially they're creating a product to compete with Messenger or with Zoom. And so they cut that interview feature for Facebook Live, which again, Facebook does a really good job of not notifying anybody. So
right.
everybody who's relied on that suddenly, like, you just stopped. You just didn't have it anymore.
Right.
So
what happened to my thing? Well, so those people who don't know who you are, and the beard is back. I see.
Yeah. Oh, and watch this. Ready? Oh, look at the amount of growth. So yeah, it's been some COVID-19 hair.
Yeah, exactly. Because of COVID-19 hair. So salons are finally open here too, which is I think they just opened up this week. So people
Yeah,
are running and getting their, I
yeah,
lost
I've made it this far. I'm about to see how far I can get before I'm like, I gotta shave this.
exactly. Well, you had that look before too, so it's sort of like your trademark.
Oh, I never stick with nothing.
So for people who don't know who you are, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people what your background and so forth, because it's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm like a chameleon of sorts. Joseph Haecker, I had a career as a lighting designer. So if you guys have been out to Vegas, been out to the Cosmopolitan, sat underneath the chandelier at the Chandelier Bar, it was the world's largest chandelier. I've done decorative hospitality casino lighting for 18 years. Took that, and I was realizing that there was a hole in the industry. Designers are going on Pinterest and Instagram to find design inspiration. So I launched Design Wall, which was a social media platform for the design industry. So when you clicked on an item, it actually took you to the manufacturer. And from that, I was out at different trade shows and conferences, and went on Facebook in October of 2017. I hit the go live button on a rant. That episode was titled "F the Trends," and I had 2,200 people watching me. So the little icon, I don't know which side it would be, the little icon counting the views. I had 2.2K viewers, and that episode went on to that day cleared 30,000 views. 6 weeks later, I brought on my celebrity design co-host. At week 9, we hosted the top design industry podcasters and cleared 100,000 views in 1 week. By that December, I started getting calls from publicists saying, "Can we book our celebrity guests on your show?" We've had everybody. Jenny hooked up the Property Brothers. We had them lip sync battle to promo the IHOS conference and expo in 2018.
Yep.
And then we've had on Collective Soul played live on the show. Macklemore. We had Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. 2018, I decided, hey, in 2018, we cleared 3.2 million views of the show in 51 episodes. And so I expanded that into the live broadcast network, started producing live shows. The idea was original programming streamed live on Facebook. So we took that and we produced several different shows. I am not a TV producer, so I didn't know that side of the business. So I was signing shows, we were producing shows, and then we were hoping to sell advertisement on them. That's not the way to do it. So if you guys want to know how not to do it, that's not how you do it. I shut the whole thing down, and the whole thing was in kind of hiatus. We were still getting 45,000 views a month just off of our past episodes. So when COVID-19 hit, it got my mind going, and we'll get into a little bit more about what I launched in February of this year.
Yes, you've always been a really great connector. It's kind of you're a conduit, a connector in whatever industry. I mean, you come out of the design industry, but then you've definitely crossed over, impacted the home staging industry as well, and just business in general. And Joseph is one of these people that he's very creative, but he's also savvy in the tech world too. So he's had some other, things that he's been working on, but in the tech. So you take your creative abilities and then you apply it to like the video technology, and you find ways that people can access information and help grow their businesses in sort of non-traditional ways. You also did the whole red carpet thing at High Point. That was 2018 too. And that was
I always take on like these monster project things that are like, oh, let's go do this thing. And I guess the crazy part about me is like that. So a lot of people have ideas, right? You're like, oh, that would be cool. I just actually then pursue it, and I'm willing to fail. Like, hey, you know what? Let's go do something that people haven't done before for the sake of not, because for doing it, you know.
Right.
And then And I'll fully vet the thing. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's hey, let's go for it. And then I'll pull in some like celebrity friends and let's do this thing. And hey, and if it sticks, cool. And if it doesn't, well, hey, it was fun trying, you know. So yeah, I like I don't know. I'm always inventing new mountains to climb.
Well, again,
I've been climbing them.
it kind of keeps life interesting, and I love that you're not afraid to fail. I think a lot of people don't attempt things because they're afraid, what if I don't succeed? And that holds people back. But how will you know if you'll succeed or not unless you do it? I don't like the word try, so it's like just do it. And failure isn't, you're not a loser if you fail. It's just that didn't work, and you learn something from it. And so from that, then you reinvent yourself or make some adjustments, and then you come out stronger, hopefully. So failure is not a death sentence in the business world. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, part of the last series that I did on Design Talk Live was about failure, and it was we had so many different people that introduced such cool new ideas. We had I'm going to blank on his name, but we had a guest who started an entire award show, and the gap that he found was you had your Emmys and you had your Oscars, and you always have the same winners, right? Every year you watch, and is Angelina Jolie going to get another award? You might get an up and comer, but it's kind of rare. This guy was like, hey, you know what? What about all the people behind the scenes that don't get the awards? Angelina Jolie gets the award and she thanks her crew. Well, who are they? You know. So he created an awards program for the people that don't normally get mentioned, and I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, so recognition for the people that actually make it happen.
Yeah, and it got bought, and it continues to this day. But he was the guy that started it. So
wow, that's very cool. So where are you right now? Are you in
Virginia?
Oh, you're in Virginia.
Yeah, I've still got the place in Vegas. It's still there, waiting for it to be unlocked, and then I can be bi-coastal again and bounce back and forth.
What city in Virginia are you in?
In Annandale.
So is that I don't know my
Falls Church, Tyson's corner.
Yeah. So you're in Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
Zooming in. Sorry, you guys. I swear I'm not touching anything. I keep zooming in and out. Yeah. So you're in the DC area. So you got to go see. You should go visit Trish and Young.
I haven't been out honestly since being out here. I came out after Vegas Market and KBiz. So I've been out here since February, and then February everything kind of hit. So just been here. Normally I'd be flying all over the place. So
yeah, hopscotching, the world traveler. Yeah. So tell people what your latest thing is. So Joseph, of course, being the connector and having the mind that you do, Joe. I always call you Joseph, but Joe. As soon as COVID-19 hit and people start struggling, they canceled markets. They canceled the ability for a lot of these companies to be able to sell their product, and then a lot of designers and so forth that have things they're trying to get out to the public. When you shut stores down and access to these things, there's a lot of people struggling. So at what point did you think, like, I'm going to do something?
Yeah, so February hit, we were seeing, I think, end of January, we were watching that cruise ship come into, was it California on the West Coast? And they were talking about coronavirus, and they were quarantining them and this whole bit. And within the next couple of weeks, they thought they had it quarantined pretty well. They didn't, and you started, I think it popped up in Washington at a senior home. And immediately the CDC kind of sent out their not the stay in place orders, but the self-distancing recommendation. And apparently that hit large venues right away. So February, I started getting calls from my trade show friends, the people that actually throw the trade shows, Informa, Emerald, and even some of my trade show event people, the people who are in charge of the trade show booths for their companies, like for House and different companies. So they started calling and saying, hey, Joe, have you heard this trade show got closed and that trade show got closed? I got to be in Florida next week because this trade show is still on, and oops, that one got canceled. And so right away I started hearing trade shows canceling. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with KBIS. It's the Kitchens and Bath Expo, and it bounces around, but they typically do about 100,000 attendees, 600 vendors,
Wow.
100,000 attendees, and the kitchens and bath industry does about 3 point something billion dollars in revenue. So the reason people go to trade shows, especially like retailers and distributors, is to be face to face with their rep, find out what new products, kind of find out what's interesting about that new product. How are they going to then turn around and sell it to their consumer? Uh, and they go to get kind of amped up on it too. They want to know inventory levels. They want to know access to products and any kind of new discounts and negotiate wholesale pricing. It's communication. And so when I heard that the trade shows were closing, the first thing I thought of was, shit, there goes our supply chain. Because if those retailers can't hear from their manufacturers and they don't have that one-on-one, then they're not learning what they need to do to go keep their businesses afloat. And ultimately that did happen. Within like a couple of weeks, I started getting calls from retail owners saying, "Hey Joe, we don't have stay-in-place orders yet. Our state hasn't locked down, but it doesn't matter because nobody's walking through my front door anymore. And I have about this much money, and then I think I'm going to have to close my company. What do we do?" And so I thought this with the trade show thing, and I started floating it by people. And by the time I started getting the retailer calls, I was like, let's just do it. So I launched a QVC style show on the live broadcast network. This gives companies the ability to stand in front of a camera, just like we're doing right now. But as I talk about my I Heart New York coffee mug, on the side of the screen, it can have the product info, just like you would see on QVC, with the pricing, and does it include shipping? Does it include tax? What's the website to look for? On the bottom, just like you see on Be Live right now, it's got the lower thirds, but we can do custom ones, and we can create a branded experience for those companies so that when you were watching it, it was very clear that what that company is doing is they're selling their product. You could see it. I'm here to sell my product. And I've never seen that happen on Facebook. I've seen people sit on Facebook. There's this one lady, and she does oyster shucking. So she turns on her camera. Turns on her camera, and then she's got like her little towel right here. She's got a bowl full of oysters, and she goes, "Okay, so we're gonna start the bidding." So she opens up an oyster. She pulls out the pearl. She wipes off the pearl. She shows it to you like this, and she says, "Okay, we're going to start the bidding." And she sets a timer, and the bidding starts. People start throwing in their comments. I bid this much. I bid that much. I bid this much, and then ding, and Jenny, looks like you've got it. So I'll message you, and this one's yours. Puts it over here, and if Jenny doesn't claim it, then it's going to go to Sarah. And that's all she does. That's all she does. There's no cool graphics. It's nothing. And this chick is a freak. Like, she's got so many views, and people are on there like crazy. So I was like, let's do that for trade show. Let's do that for small businesses. So the first series we did, Blair Hamady was on it. And we also had on Anya. I'm going to slaughter her last name. I suck at names. So Anya, I think it's Sure. She came on to talk about Monet. We had on Lighting Deluxe. We had a bunch of different companies. We had 6 companies on that day. And ultimately, within a week, we cleared 504,000 views.
That's awesome.
I haven't had that happen since we did the Property Brothers episode. That had 19,000 people watching, and it had within the week it cleared 500,000 views. This did that in 1 week. and it was because of the series. The
Right.
next series that we did was 2 weeks later with Zuo, and Chip Wade came on to talk about Deltile and Kita products, and we featured Aaron Minkley of Relativity Textiles. Those 4 episodes in a series cleared 714,000 views in under a week.
That's amazing. So that shows not only is there a need for this, and I know that Blair said that his segment was very successful. They did sort of a virtual sale from their Sit in the Space store. So it wasn't about staging as much as it was selling the product, because you have to, these people that have retail stores and shops, they've got product, whether they're the manufacturer, whoever, they've got to get it out to get exposure. So he said it was greatly successful, and I think what a great way to be able to share it to the masses. And because so many people are on social media as well, this is our conduit for what's going on in the world. And so being able to access the show and then be able to purchase, and virtual technology, being able to even do this without having to be in the same space, it's very cool when you think about the ability to, anywhere in the world, you could have somebody have a conversation with somebody and share it with everybody else. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Look, you hosting this show, if you tried this 15 years ago, the first, Facebook didn't have this, so you couldn't do this on here. You would have had to gone to your local TV station, Channel 2, and you would have had to ask them, pitch them a show idea. They would put you on the schedule, maybe, if they thought your show idea was good. They'd put you on the schedule during the public broadcasting segment that runs from 3 in the morning until 5 in the morning. And you would have been competing with whoever else had a nifty idea for a show. And you would have had to film your show. They would distribute it on Channel 2. To be fair, Wayne's World got started doing that same thing. So did, what's his name? Johnny Knoxville with, what was that show?
Oh my God. He was practical. He did the Jokers, but it was called,
they're always torturing Jackass. Yeah. I don't know if that was cool on your show, but because I know I do the cussing thing, but yeah, that was their show, not mine, and that was public broadcasting time. They did that at 3 in the morning, and somebody, probably MTV, thought it was a good idea. They picked it up, and now they've got a few movies under their belt, and everybody's famous from it, and gone on to do other movies and this whole bit. But
a whole other generation of men to do stupid things.
Yeah. It freaked my mom out about my brother for a little bit, but but that's how it would have been done. 15 years ago, you couldn't have done this. You would have done that. Maybe would have done that. This is so amazing. So the difference, though, is, so you're using BeLive, and you've got the lower thirds on there. And BeLive has a few different upgrade options. To be fair, if you guys watch this and you're thinking, oh man, I could do BeLive, the cheaper options have kind of the lower thirds, and then their price point goes way up. So it's like $2,000 a month, which makes no sense. And then there's like other live broadcasting software, and that stuff gets into like CNN and Fox Sports uses it, and ESPN Zone and all this stuff. Otherwise, most people just do kind of like what you're seeing in my screen, where it's just me in front of a camera. So you've got just you in front of a camera. Then you've got, some lower thirds in a kind of template style options. And then you've got like kind of what you see on TV, Jimmy Fallon, with all custom things and animated and, cool graphics, on-screen graphics. So what we're offering companies is any company, whether they sell, they own a jewelry shop and they don't have foot traffic, we can give you the on-screen graphics and the cool animations, and where you can see the product up close, and we can zoom in and zoom out. All of that we can make accessible for people who wouldn't have had the means, and it's all remote, so they don't have to travel to a studio. They take their cell phone, do what I'm doing right now, but we make it look cool.
Could you do, I mean, and I know we were talking yesterday, but I'm thinking like, for stagers, if you're looking at doing like, do I want to do some sort of a video segment of you staging a house and kind of have it all seam together, because you can pre-record a lot of these things too and then edit it and then make it look this really kind of a cool output. You're capable of doing that. And so
so we offer a few different things. We offer one, the QVC style live segment. So people come live. We put the graphics up. And it's live. It's a live segment. So whatever happens, if they screw up their script, if they whatever, it's anything goes. For a higher price point for brands that want to like have their intro video before they get started, and then it comes on, and as they're talking, it does a cutaway to a video of a close-up shot or whatever, or it goes to a video of like their process. For that, we do it at a higher price point, and it's more branded. And then ultimately, we also do we can film your talk shows. So we've got a few companies right now, and I'm talking with a couple of celebrities about doing their own talk show. People kind of ran over to Zoom right away to go do their shows and their interviews. So we can pre-record, or we can even stream them live, but with like video animations and on-screen graphics and website call to actions, and it doesn't have to be here. We can put the website call to action here. We can put this whole space is ours to do with whatever you want. So it's fully branded. So we're talking with a few different companies right now about producing their talk shows so that they're more branded and they can have on better guests, and it represents their brand in a way that's unique to them.
So I'm thinking like you could even do as interviews with the stagers or real estate agents you work with or clients. You could do this whole sort of montage put together and have it very professional, but not have to as you think spend these tens of thousands and thousands of dollars to have this professional company come in and film. I remember back in the day, video segments were filmed for our courses, and would introduce certain segments. I remember that was like several days of filming with the film crew in a condo to get all the content and so forth, and then they edited the videos together and then put those out there. But the technology now allows you don't have to have that as much gear, and I think it's easier to be able to do something with the technology they have. And I also even though people like the the unedited or the feed that's kind of like an unprofessional, the video back, it was like when you do video, don't make it all slick and manufactured. But I feel like there's an element now that people expect to have it be a little bit more professional than just somebody filming with their phone or capturing something. It has to be a little bit more a step up, because the technology has advanced.
It was cool 2 years ago to have your phone jiggling around and that whole thing. Now it's not. Now it's not that cool. Now they want like a polished look. It was cool back then to hold up signs. Now you want an on-screen graphic. It's just we've evolved and we have a bigger expectation. And we're now 2 years ago. You might have still had cable. You were probably watching most of your stuff maybe on Hulu and Netflix. Now you are watching everything on Netflix. Like people don't have cable anymore. They got internet and they stream their content, and you're watching your full-on shows and stuff on your tablets in bed. You're not. It's not this extra thing. It's what you do now. So the content's evolved.
So as a business owner, because a lot of people, we always talk about video and so forth in our classes and just, in general, a lot of people don't like to do video because they don't like how they sound. They don't like how they look. They don't want to be on camera. And so there's a point where people have to just start doing something to get exposure, because the video element of it is so powerful and the ability to reach so many people. And I think a lot of it is the messaging. And you have always had a great way of exposing people to the masses in a way that really helps them and to get that reach for them. And so how did you do that? I mean, what was your, was it
well,
just
so and that's yeah, and that there's so people think that it's a matter of producing something, right? So I get, just a couple of weeks ago, a person that's a friend of mine who, because of my show, launched a talk show on Facebook. He called me asking about podcasts. He was like, hey, so I was thinking about podcasts and, what are your thoughts? And I was like, okay, so people get on these kicks, right? They think that, oh, well, I'm going to start a podcast or I'm going to start a video, and it seems so easy. So for a podcast, you've got to get its sound. It's purely 100% sound. Here, I can get away with, some background noise and some birds and stuff because we're on video, so you're watching it. But if the video was gone and all you could hear was my microphone bouncing around, that's going to piss you off on a podcast. So your podcast, you've got to have soundproofing. You're probably going to record these with remote guests using a Skype because it's got good bass tones and you can separate the audio. Preferably, you're going to have that person sitting with you. You're going to get high quality microphones. So getting some dinky stuff over at Target isn't going to work. You're going to need to get some, Seinhauer microphones and some really good stuff. You're going to spend thousands of dollars on equipment. Then you get done recording your podcast, line it all up, record it all. Now you got to edit it. And I don't know if you've ever edited audio, but when you do breaks, when people talk, typically, and maybe you've seen this, Jenny, because I don't know how much you edit, but your typical person will do a run-on sentence. I was talking about this, and I was talking about that other thing, and they never stop talking. When you watch people on TV or when you hear people on radio, they pause between sound bites. They don't do a complete run-on sentence. They stop so that the editing can occur, so that a person that goes in and edits can clean up the audio. So I told a friend of mine, I was like, hey, so you got to then become an editor. And now that your podcast is done, you still got to distribute it. So you're going to put that on a website. You got to have a website built. You're going to have to put that on, SoundCloud or Audible. You're going to have to get it out. You're going to have to market that you've got a new episode. So now you're a full-time marketer. You're a full-time podcaster, full-time marketer, website builder, and what is it that you do for a living?
Yeah.
So now if you could go into a studio and, where all you do is you line up 6 of your friends, you walk into a studio, you cut a couple of interviews, the studio edits it all, they clean it up, they've got the equipment, and a week later they give you the result and say, here you go, Jenny, here's your content. Better is if you could get a spot on a radio station where that radio station already exists, and they say, hey, Jenny, come on in, bring your guests in, we'll record the interviews. You can have a time slot on our channel, and we have distribution. People that listen to our radio station, we've got 1.2 million people that listen to our radio station. So you don't have to buy the equipment. You don't have to worry about distribution. You just walk in, record an interview with your friend, and it's off. That's the best case scenario. So for people that are thinking, oh, well, I'll just get a video camera and I'll go live on something, you still got to distribute it. There's still editing. You still got to do all this work, and it's not that easy. So what we're essentially offering at the onset of COVID, what we started offering was we made that not only the recording studio available, but the news channel available. We weren't doing anything while I was in that hiatus. We were clearing 45,000 views. Getting your business in front of 45,000 eyeballs is massive enough. And then when we kicked up the shows and I was aiming a secret, not even secretly. I was when we launched the in-home shopping, I was marketing it. If you go back into my timeline on Facebook, I was hoping that we would get about 160,000 views. That's what I was hoping for. When we did that series with Blair and everybody on that first series, I had no idea that within a week we would clear 504,000 views. I had no idea. So getting your company in front of whatever your message is, whether staging, whether you're a retailer selling jewelry or clothing or whatever it is, getting that in front of the 45,000 views that we were just getting organically before is massive. Getting in front of 500,000, or then the second series that we did, 714,000, that's game changer. I mean, odds are you're probably never going to do something that would get you in front of that many people in such a short amount of time.
Well, it's also, which is so impressive, and it's also, I think that you're doing live streaming, so he's not doing like Facebook. So I used to do Facebook Live, just I would broadcast the show through the channel, through the page. Then we had a lot of glitches with text. I went to Be Live, which is this is the platform we're using for this show. Joseph does live streaming, and so there's we were talking about yesterday, there's the ability to go through Facebook, which you can also do it through a website. There's we call it cross posting or cross something. There's you can reach more people doing live streaming than you can even what I'm doing here, because I can only go through one. It's broadcasting live through one page. I can't pick 18 different pages to show up at the same time. So people have to go in manually. And by the way, share this to your people, because that's how we reach other people. But you've been able to bypass that because of the live streaming.
Yeah. Right? So, and that's the other thing. So I get a creative bug one day. I'm going to start doing a video. I'm going to start doing video for my company, whatever my company is. It's the coffee cup company, right? Or a staging company. So I've been hearing it for a while, and finally I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to do video. So I go out and I get some equipment, and maybe I shoot it on a tripod, or maybe I get a gimbal and I have somebody film me. You still got to edit it. You got to add in sound. You got to add in stuff. You still got to try to distribute it. How are you going to monetize it? Have you even thought to monetize it? So, you would think that for your staging company, well, I'm advertising myself. This is my staging company, and here's Joe, and I'm talking about my staging company. And that might be good enough. It's not. Have you ever considered that maybe people would pay you? If you were hesitant about getting in front of a camera, have you considered that other people are hesitant too? And they're not there yet either. So, especially in staging, as a stager, you've partnered with investors, with realtors, with general contractors. There's a lot of people in your network. So what if your video wasn't just you? What if your video could also have the logo brought to you by Keller Williams, brought to you by agent such and such, and also the general contractor in your neighborhood, and the roofing and repair guy, and so now you're involving other people. And I'll tell you, that was the difference for what I did. At the very beginning of the segment, for you guys catching now, at the beginning, I used to do a talk show on Facebook. And my first episode, I had 2,200 people watching it live. Now, that wasn't because they were watching me. Back then, we did a split screen. And on that first episode, 7 people called in and split screened with me. And those 7 people, while they were on, were saying, oh, look, my neighbor's watching, and oh, my coworker's watching. Hey, guys. And so what I realized in that first episode was it wasn't about me. I brought the topic, and then I invited the platform for other people to share their story. They then had a motivation to share it. They were on, and it was being featured. Today, Jenny had me on, so I'm on here. So did I hit share? Yeah. And am I going to go plug this everywhere? Yeah. So the more people that you can involve by putting their logo on your thing, or calling them out or interviewing them, the more network reach you're going to get. It just makes sense. It's and I always say social media. It's not called social media. The full name is social media network. So the media is simple. That's a video or content. The social part, does your content involve people asking questions? So if you guys have any questions today, throw them in the comments and we'll be able to answer them afterwards. It's engaging people. Network. The network part, I think a lot of people miss out on. Jenny gets it because she had me on, and she has a guest on each week, and multiple guests. So that's the network part. So if you're going to do video, involve other people. Throw their logos on, interview them, interview that general contractor, interview that roofing company, Give them reasons to participate and share. Now, better than that is what I do is I give away, I provide a way for you to involve that person on multiple episodes. So you could interview them like Jenny's doing today, or you could put my live broadcast network logo on future episodes. Now I've got a reason to pay you, right? If I'm now advertising on your staging segment. And I'll tell you, not a lot of people do that. And that really did help me kind of set myself apart from other people, is thinking, you know what, let's involve as many people. Let's sell ad spots on your segment.
And you can, when you live stream, you're in control of that, because like with Facebook, they control based on the number of reach. They'll say now, yes, you can have sponsors. So the show, we could actually sell sponsorships and so forth, but I had to wait to get to a certain number of viewers or the reach. You have to qualify. Same thing with YouTube. You have to qualify in order to have advertisers and so forth, and to be able to monetize your show. But when you're in control of the live streaming aspect of it, you're not relying on the platform like YouTube or Facebook to tell you, oh yeah, now you're good enough to be able to promote this other person. So you really you learned a lot, because you started with Facebook and then did the Be Live, and you're like, I'm going to take more control of it, so I'm not at their mercy for them telling me how many people I can reach or what I can do with this. And very, very, very smart. I think,
we've turned it into a TV station.
Yeah.
So we're like, if you were to go, you don't have to go to channel 2, you can go to channel 4, and we're channel 4, where we've got all the stuff. You just show up, you line up your guests, you line up your theme, and then you just come on and sit back, kind of like I'm doing. I have no stress, because Jenny's doing all the controls on her end. So I'm just sitting here with my cup of coffee, enjoying a conversation with Jenny. That should be you in front of a camera. So if you're a home stager, or you've got a retail business, or you've got there's a lot of things to consider when you're going to step in front of the camera. One, it's not just stepping in front of the camera. You also got to know what you're going to talk about. You've got to line up other people so that you can leverage their network. You've got to edit. You've got to distribute it. And then after that, I would say the next level thing is, how do you involve other people? And we've already got that all formatted with pricing, so that way you could just come in, use our system, sell that pricing to other advertisers, and make money doing your show.
Yeah, and I think one of the hardest parts of doing a show is the consistency aspect of it. So if somebody's going to have a show, whether you're going to do it, twice a month or once a week or whatever it is, you have to stick with it. But then it is lining up the guests. That's always a thing, like, who am I going to have on? What topic am I going to have? So having spreadsheets and being able to invite people, and then sometimes the technology works and sometimes it doesn't. With certain guests, you've got to kind of go with it. And but that aspect of it, being able to have somebody who can partner with you on that as a facilitator, takes that whole stress off. Like right now, I'm not touching anything on my my computer, because I kept zooming in and out, and I again don't know why it was doing that. But usually I can have like a crawler, I can have words that go over the top, but I'm not touching anything right now because I don't want it to tweak out. But if I turned it over to somebody who actually do the production side of it, I wouldn't have to be concerned about any of that, and because they would be handling all of that behind the scenes, which is really cool. So they make you look good. See, now it's zooming in again, and I swear to God, I'm not doing anything.
Well, I just had a call with a lady, and she, I won't mention names and the whole thing because we haven't settled in on launching her show. We've got another meeting set up. She was gonna do a talk show, and she was gonna call it whatever, her company TV, and she was gonna record stuff. And she got all the equipment, and she set up a little spot in her office as a studio. And she was going to do this, and we started talking. And I was like, okay, so you've got the equipment, then you've got to line up the guests, you've got to have topics for that. Who's going to film? And she's like, oh, well, I was just going to hit, the record button. And so I was like, okay, so then you're going to have this, and then you're going to go sit down in your chair, and you're going to have to edit all that out, or it's going to stay on film. Now you've got it done, you edit it. How are you going to share it? And she's like, oh, well, YouTube. And I was like, okay, So YouTube has no social media platform. Anything that you put on YouTube, you've got to go share it on social media platforms. So now you become a marketer. You got to get subscribers for it. There's call to action titles that you can put at the end of it. So you're going to do all that. How are you running your day job? Next level thinking, how are you going to pay for it? And she was like, oh, well, I was going to use this video or this talk show idea to, bring more. I was going to use it as advertising so that it hopefully brings me customers. I was like, okay, so you're going to add a full-time job to your full-time job, hoping that it brings you more customers. Since you're doing the second full-time job anyhow, why not have it make money for you? Why not put advertising? She's got good connections to big companies. Why not sell advertising on your show? And she's like, oh, I never thought about that. And she had never thought about the different types of advertising. You could put a logo that just sits here, brought to you by Kohler, right? It could just be the Kohler logo just sitting here. Kohler will pay you for that. You can have the Kohler logo animated come into the screen, and it can show a little product deal. They'll pay you more for that. At the beginning of your video, you could have brought to you by Kohler, makers of blah, 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 blah. They'll pay you more, even more, for the voiceover. And then ultimately, the big dollar spend is TV video advertisement, where we say, hey guys, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break. And we cut, and you run a commercial. Kohler pays millions of dollars a year to run those ads on TV. They will gladly pay you less money than that.
Yeah.
So
it's all about the reach. So they're going to ask the questions that these people, the advertisers, are going to ask is they're going to want to know, like, who's the audience and what's the reach. And so what's the minimum you would say, like, if somebody's going to go talk to a potential sponsor, you want to have more than 10 people in your reach. So you want to have what's the minimum, like what's the threshold where they can get their attention?
Well, to give you an example, last year when we were producing Jennifer Farrell's Design Hot Seat, she was getting about 160,000 views a week, and Lamps Plus was paying us $3,800 for a 30-second ad.
Is that per week?
That was per ad.
Per ad, wow. Yeah. So there's yeah. I mean, I'm like, the wheels
our network was doing 500,000 views a week. Currently, right now, when we put out a series, and the series we've only been doing, our series are 1 day a week. So on Tuesdays when we did the series, we got 504,000 and 714,000. So I'm already talking with like Ford, Zazzle, Wix, Tiffany and Company. So at 500,000 views, at a 750,000 views, they'll pay. So you can kind of go try to create your own Channel 4, or you can, put a show on Channel 4. And we kind of paved the way for that. So the live broadcast network is kind of making it open. Kind of making it, hey, if you've got a show idea and you don't even have to pay for it, we've got a way for you to involve other people. So tap into your network. You're doing a local show, and you can get that pool company down the street and that local roofer to throw in some money, and that local GC who's afraid to get in front of a camera but would love to get his business in front of that same shared audience. Well, then give me a call. We've got the pricing plans for it, and essentially you get a produced show and you pass the bill on to 5 other people, and you can even make money off of it.
And so is it just livebroadcastnetwork.com? Is that the website?
Yeah, so the livebroadcastnetwork.com. We've got several different programs on there, but just click on it. For the in-home shopping, it's for the advertiser side of it, it's livebroadcastnetwork.com/IHS-how-it-works.
Is there a link on the site? If they just go to the site, they can actually, is there a link to the...
Click on all of it, yeah.
So
and we've even got our past episodes there. And something I've never seen an advertiser do. And in fact, when I called up some of my podcast friends back in February and I said, hey, I haven't done this in a while, what's the going rate for stuff? Those podcast friends were like, oh, Joe, I don't share my rates and I don't share my stats. But they sent them over to me, and I was like, oh, well, I'm not afraid of my stats. We got 504,000 views. I'm not afraid of that. So I actually post all of the stats on the website. So you can go in and you can not only view the old episodes, but you can even see the results of the shows.
Which is really great. So those of you that are watching, I mean, Joe and I are talking about, ways to incorporate our preferred vendors for IHOS, a way to get them exposure during this time. And depending on what happens with the conference, talking about, if we have to do a virtual element, being able to produce something. But, to me, it's being able to bring everybody business, not just our, members, but also our vendor partners, but also, as a stager, like how can you utilize a video platform for your business to kind of be thinking, it could be something that you do on a consistent basis, or maybe just something you produce as a marketing piece that you send out, and it brands your business, and be able to have access to somebody, because this is all done remotely too, right? You don't have to travel to where they live.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole concept is, back 15 years ago, or even 10 years ago, you had to have the crew that would have to travel around to get the footage, and it all be edited together and so forth. And so being able to do this remotely or virtually is, it's just mind-boggling, the possibilities, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've got several different options too. You've got that just out of the box, hey, I've got a product to sell, so I want to stand in front QVC style. Here's my product. It's a product pitch. We've got talk show segments that you can create, fully customizable. And then because of that, now I'm even talking with several trade shows again. So with those trade shows, so when you go to a trade show, there's a lot of, if you're the event organizer, there's multiple revenue streams. So if I were to throw a trade show, it's not just a matter of like getting a bunch of companies to show up and then having people attend and walk around. That's how it might seem, but from the event organizer side, there's different size booths. This guy can afford a smaller one. This guy wants a bigger one. This guy wants bigger branding. There's advertisers. This guy is going to sponsor the trash can covers. This guy's going to sponsor the badges. There's different levels of advertising. And for the event company, for the people throwing the event, that's all revenue streams. So when COVID-19 broke out, right away you saw people run over to Zoom. Well, Zoom doesn't allow any of the branding. How do you get there's no lower thirds at all. So this was a stupid platform to be on anyhow. All it promotes is Zoom. Now, you saw people going on Instagram. Oh God, shoot me. There are so many people right now jumping on Instagram to do interviews. Well, Jenny, where's your logo? It's on one of these corners, right?
It's on your left side. Yeah.
Instagram doesn't even let you do that. So you've got companies on there or brand ambassadors, and they're, I'm here today talking about Kohler product with Jenny. Kohler is not anywhere on the screen. And on Instagram, it has none of the third-party systems. So all you would get, you don't even get to see this that we're seeing on Be Live. It would just be me and Jenny stacked on top of each other. That's it. That's all you got, with some, comments and some hearts shooting up. But that's it. It's just us talking. Worst platform ever. No analytics. It disappears. This is stupid. Get off of Instagram. Don't do your talk show on Instagram. Do your talk show on Facebook. And if you can get approved on it, do your talk show on LinkedIn. I'll caution, LinkedIn gives you no analytics. So I love Facebook for all the analytics, all the Facebook Watch, hosting watch parties, boosting. It's got so many more built-ins that are just great. So what I've done is I've kind of reimagined how could we use Facebook in a way that I want to use it. So events acts like your show guide. We can customize the different segments. So a QVC style segment is like your 8x8 booth. Adding in videos and adding in different graphics and cutaways and bringing in the factory and doing a factory tour, doing all these other things. That's kind of like a bigger booth at a trade show. And then the advertisement. We've got the animateds, we've got the logo placement, we've got the commercials. That's your advertiser. So we've figured out a way to kind of involve all those different revenue streams that you would have gotten on a trade show with the ability to push people into private groups and then do what are the little sessions on like Zoom for the kind of the breakaway sessions, and it's an entire program as though you were watching the Tournament of Roses parade or a PBS telethon where they're raising money for something. We're doing that all on Facebook,
which is really incredible. So go check out the site, and of course we'll have you back on to, because I love having you on as a guest. But I think it's a really great way to get exposure for your business, but also to kind of think out of the box to be able to involve, as he's saying, either sponsors or industry partners, and to think about how you can combine and leverage the relationships and be able to even monetize that. So anyway, we are out of time. I can't believe it, but I appreciate you being on. It was good to see you and hear you and talk to you.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And we'll have, everybody say goodbye to Joseph. And if you have any questions, you know how to find him on his network, and I can post his email address in there too. So thanks, Joseph, for being on.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Bye. And we'll be back next week, everybody, with another segment. And hope you have a great rest of your week. Remember, face everything and rise. Be positive. And we'll be back next week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And again, please share this segment with your people. Post it on your profile and share it with others so that we can reach as many as possible with the conversation. Thanks, everybody. Bye from Home Staging Talk Show Live.